I met this man 3 times, and each time it was incredibly more uncomfortable. Imagine a man in his late 30s, tall, skinny, short brown hair. I think some facial hair too. Anyway, the first time I saw him, I was there, but I wasn't his target. It happened when I went back from school later than usual, and the metro was fairly empty. The first time I saw him, he was following around this couple. They were both adults, and the guy in the couple was pretty big, thankfully, walking from one end of the metro train to the other. They were obviously trying to get away from him, but this guy was weird. He had crazy eyes affixed on both of them, and just following them around, not saying anything, grinning. I only caught a glimpse of this, but the couple was visibly uncomfortable with this guy, and he was not giving up. I remember thinking, thank God he didn't stop for me, since I was alone, and no one was really around aside from those two. I swear, I think I jinxed myself. The second time I saw him, I was in the subway again, going to school. You know that creepy-ass thing when you're holding the bar and then the person above lowers their hand on top of yours? Yeah. At first, I thought it was an accident, so I lowered my hand, but he moved it again back on top of mine. I had my head down looking at my phone, I think, so when I looked up, he was right in my face, way too close to me. He was just staring at me, straight in the eye. Mind you, I'm the kind of person that will have a stare down with a stranger if they insist on staring at me, so I'm not exactly shy. But he creeped the hell out of me. It was fairly crowded, so I squeezed myself past a few people and sat down on a chair a few meters away in hopes he would just stand by the bar and leave me alone. Wrong. He sat on a chair on the row in front of me and just stared. He also had this smile on his face. Just thinking about it makes me uncomfortable. I can't exactly convey what he made me feel like, but I think it was just a lot of anxiety. It was enough to make me panic a little bit when the chair next to me was empty. Luckily enough, we were coming to a stop, so I stood up. It was a stop earlier than I'd have to get off, but I was not going to stay on the train. He promptly stood up too and started coming towards me. Because it was crowded, I pretended to get off, but instead of that, I cut through the line of people and ended up on the other side of them, away from that guy. I hid in a corner until the doors closed, and sure enough, I see him outside on the platform. It upset my stomach when I realized that he was going to follow me off the train, and that I would have to stand there with him or be late to school because of it, or worse. There wasn't any security, and it's not that unusual to meet creeps since I lived in the capital. So I was shaken up for a bit, but then I forgot about it. Months later, I'm on the bus with a friend of mine. I'm a girl, my hair is short. I think her hair was short as well. So in the eyes of people from my country, we both looked like lesbians. She actually is one, but that's besides the point. The bus is half empty, so there's people, but there's no seats available. We're both standing and holding the bar, talking about whatever and looking out the window in front of us. The bus stops abruptly and this guy loses balance and sort of bends over in front of us. Like, imagine he was holding the same bar we were and he was just a reverse L shape with his head in front of me and my friend's chests. That wasn't weird, like, yeah, okay. Perhaps he lost his balance, but then he took a little too long to actually straighten himself up. He stayed there for about 10 to 15 seconds until we both looked at him. I stare at this guy, he looks back at me. You're really beautiful. Huh? And my friend says, that's weird. Only after that did he straighten himself and look down at us. He was so much taller. He did not appreciate my friend's comment and he became a frowny man. It was our signal to move along the bus, away from him. That, and the fact that he started saying stuff to us. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was along the lines of, "What's your bloody problem? Can't I just compliment a nice girl?" It was only after, when we went to the front of the bus, that I finally realised that it was the same guy from the subway. If it hadn't been months, I would have suspected he had stalked me. But because it was in the same area-ish that I would get off the metro, I assumed he would just harass anyone he found. After we went to the front of the bus, he let loose. He started screaming at us about how we were lesbians, about how we were the devil, and how we should be eradicated, and that we're disgusting, and that he wishes the Soviet Union would come, take over, and burn people like us down. In retrospective, I really feel bad for my friend. I'm sure those comments might have gotten to her more than they did to me. I feel like the people on the bus were judging us for some reason, but I think it might have just been paranoia because of the guy making a full-blown scene. It was scary to have a man taller than us wishing death upon us. Not only that, we got off at the next stop to get away from it, and power walked our way to the place where we knew there would be some guards present. And of course, he got off and started following us, still yelling profanities at us. It was weird because, as we were power walking, we didn't stare at him the entire time. We were focused on getting to the security that was ahead of us. So when we looked back to check how close he was to us, he was gone. Just gone. This was a pretty big open area too. I looked around and around to see if I could spot him walking off, and I just couldn't. I remember both me and my friend were shaken, but again, we put it at the back of our minds, and it just became a story I tell people sometimes. After that last encounter, I moved countries to go to university. I'm actually kind of glad because I felt like I would have met him again. If anyone lives in Bucharest, this happened around Piața Universității, and in the metro on the line M1 at the stop called Stefan cel Mare. Since it's fairly recent, I don't doubt that he's still lurking. Stay safe, my friends.
Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.